to me, as a former professional baseball player, college coach, everything like that, as a 290 career hitter in my professional career, I feel like if I knew this in my career, maybe I got that shot in the big leagues.
Level. This is why.
All right, guys, we're back again with another video. We're going deep into motor preferences. This is going to be part 2. Now, what I want to do is I want to give kind of a general understanding of each one of these different categories that is involved in motor preferences. And then once we have kind of the general understanding of all of these different categories, then we're going to go, deep dive into each one. So today we're going to cover associated versus disassociated. This has a lot to do with your hip-shoulder separation, which is obviously a major coaching thing in baseball. Everyone was always taught, the more hip-shoulder separation, the more power you're going to be able to generate, harder you're going to be able to throw, right? And we're going to get into a little bit why some of that is not exactly true. We've got the book right here open to the chapter, not really a chapter, but the part of it, because I want to give you guys really kind of just the best explanation of what this is saying. And so we're going to get right into it. Remember, guys, scan one of those QR codes if you're interested. Again, if you are not subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you know when our new videos are posted. Hit that like button for us again, and leave comment on what you think about the video. Appreciate you guys. All right, so let's get into it, guys. So motor preferences, associated versus disassociated. Now, again, I told you guys, this has to do with kind of that X factor. One of these planes being your hips, one of these being your shoulders. So this is about the hip-shoulder separation. And essentially what is being said is, yeah, some guys are going to have large hip-shoulder separation. We're going to get into why that is. But some guys are going to be more associated movers. So their hips and shoulders are going to move not quite at the same time, but way more closely together than a disassociated mover. So if you're a hitter or you're a pitcher who your entire career, right? Because this is not the popular way to coach guys yet. The rule of thumb right now is that really the greater that hip shoulder separation, so if my hips are turning, I'm keeping my shoulders back, and I can't even really do it well because I'm an aerial, right? So for me, this exactly pertains to me and how I was coached. Because as a hitter, as a lefty hitter, I always tried to get that hip-shoulder separation. And compared to a lot of guys I played with, I just really couldn't do that. I did not have the pelvic mobility and just like the pelvic independence to actually make that move and feel comfortable doing it. And so when I read this part of the book, I was just like, man, this, again, it was just another one of those things where you read it and you're like, this makes so much sense because I played with so many guys who it was like, it just came naturally for them to do that. And I was the exact opposite. All right, so again, so associated, we'll give just a little description. Associated, hips and shoulders are going to move more together. And then so disassociated is going to be that big hip-shoulder separation. Traditional, or what is thought to be traditional, hip-shoulder separation, guys that have that big gap. Now, what this book is saying here is that neither one of these are better than the other, right? You could be a disassociated guy and be an elite hitter. You can be an associated guy and elite hitter. And some of the examples they bring up for both, so for associated guys, is going to be like Vlad Guerrero Jr. Justin Verlander. So go watch video of these guys, especially compared to the two I'm gonna say for disassociated. Watch videos of these guys and then watch videos of these. So that, and for under disassociated, you're gonna think Bryce Harper and Mookie Betts. Obviously, there's more than that, but these are really good examples. If you go back like I did and you watch video, especially if you're a hitter, right? And you watch Vlad Guerrero Jr., how much hip-shoulder separation he's getting versus Bryce Harper. I mean, Bryce Harper's like, his hips are pointing to the pitcher and his shoulders are still back like this. I mean, he's just got insane hip-shoulder rotation or separation. Same with Mookie Betts. So you look at these two guys, and then you look at Vlad Guerrero Jr., and it's almost like, I mean, it looks like he's got none. And all three are really good hitters, so you don't have to be, this is the problem with coaching and I've told you guys this forever, even before this, I started looking into this stuff and in this book, is that don't ever try to mimic someone else's swing, right? Because you're not them. And I'm not, I wasn't super technical about it, like the motor preferences and everything like that, but it was basically like, listen, like you're going to be tight in certain areas, you're going to be more flexible in certain areas. You're just not ever going to have the identical swing. And again, especially now what we're talking about this, if you're an aerial versus a terrestrial or associated versus disassociated and you're training to be the opposite, that's going to create a lot of issues. All right, so now we're going to get a little bit more in depth here and just talk about how disassociated and associated is not necessarily linked. It is somewhat linked to the aerial terrestrial category, and that is basically in what your breathing technique is. So obviously, we have preferences with everything we do. When you breathe in, guys, just think about it. You breathe in, you're going into kind of an extension, right? According to the book, and it makes sense because you breathe in. I feel like I'm in extension. Breathe out. I feel like I'm in flexion. So from the last video, we know aerials prefer extension, terrestrials prefer flexion. That doesn't mean that every terrestrial is going to be a disassociated or associated and every aerial's, vice versa. What it means is you got to take what your aerial terrestrial category is and then figure out, do you prefer breathe in or breathe out? Which is your preference? And based on this is the cool thing about associated, disassociated, is that let's say you're a terrestrial, so you prefer flexion. And you prefer breathe in, flexion. So when you're hitting, or breathe out, when you're hitting and you're breathing out like some guys do, or some guys are kind of breathing in, because breathing out isn't putting you in flexion, and you're a terrestrial who prefers flexion, you're probably more likely to be on the associated path because it's flexion, right? And what the book is saying is that really the guys that are kind of have, if an aerial prefers extension, but he prefers breathe out, so he prefers flexion in his breathe out, he's going to have more hip-shoulder separation. So an aerial guy could be a disassociated, and a terrestrial could be an associated. It just depends on kind of the breathing techniques. And I'm going to read it for you so you guys understand this exactly. Disassociation and association are related to the breathing muscle chains, the functional ones. To explain it simply, when you take a deep breath in, your chest creates a vertical extension, obviously, like I'm doing right there. When you breathe out, your chest is more in flexion. This extension or flexion of the upper body is found in both the aerial, who likes extension, or terrestrial, who likes flexion, profiles. When the muscle chains, breathing and medial, are oriented to either extension or flexion, the body has a smaller big hip/shoulder separation capacity associated. So if you're an aerial who prefers extension and you like breathe in, extension again, you're probably going to be on the associated side of this. If you're a terrestrial, like I said before, who terrestrials prefer flexion and you prefer breathe out and flexion again, you're probably going to be on the associated. If you're an aerial who prefers extension, like all aerials do, and you like to breathe in, so it's extension, you're probably going to be on the associated, right? But only if you're an aerial and you breathe in, you breathe out, you're going to prefer disassociated. So basically, if you're an aerial and you like breathe out, you're going to be more likely disassociated. If you're a terrestrial and you prefer breathe in, you're going to be more likely disassociated. When these muscle chains are oriented to either flexion, the body has smaller big hip to shoulder separation capacity, which is associated. But when the muscle chains are in opposition, flexion versus extension or vice versa, the body has a much bigger capacity of hip-shoulder separation, which is disassociated. 4 profile families can be identified under the associated motor preference. So basically the way you're going to identify this for yourself is, one, are you an aerial or a terrestrial, right? Do you prefer flexion or do you prefer extension? And then you're going to look at the breathe out, breathe in. Which one do you feel more powerful in? So when you're working out, test it. Breathe in and hold it. See if you're stronger. Or what's traditionally taught to all guys in the weight room is, you breathe in on the way down and then breathe out. Well, some guys are not going to be as strong breathing out. That's what the book is saying. So identify which one of those feels better for you, and then you combine, are you an aerial, terrestrial, and what's your breathing preference? And then you'll probably align pretty well when you look at video of yourself if you're an associated or disassociated mover. Okay, I know this one was a little bit, and again, I want to read a little bit more just about the profile families that are under this. So if you're a terrestrial and you're associated, that means it's flexion plus breathe out. Terrestrial disassociated is flexion plus breathe in. Aerial dissociated is extension plus breathe out. Aerial associated is extension plus breathe in. So again, I mean, this one was a little bit more complicated than the just aerial versus terrestrial, which is pretty straightforward, pretty easy to understand. Again, this is just kind of this is a bird's eye view. So right, we're going to get even more in depth on this, but I wanted to make sure you guys heard 100% from the book. Remember, motor preferences for baseball guys, highly recommend this. Again, this is like very new to the United States. There's almost no one doing this across the country. And to me, as a former professional baseball player, college coach, everything like that, as a 290 career hitter in my professional career, I feel like if I knew this in my career, maybe I got that shot in the big leagues. Maybe I turned myself into an even better player. But unfortunately it wasn't, so now I'm trying to help you guys as much as I can with this. Again, we're going to cover all the categories in here. Let me know what you guys think. Again, might have been a little complicated there. I'm still, again, I'm not an expert on this. I'm just trying to explain it so you guys can understand. But let me know what you think in the comments, and then we're gonna keep going with this. We're going to go over, next one we're going to go over after associated, disassociated that we've done today is going to be axial and large. So we'll go over that as well. But again, there's a lot of categories, and this is a way that you can really individualize your training by understanding really just how you move and how you're different than other guys. And that's the biggest thing missing in coaching today. So let me know what you think, guys. Again, based on what you see in the video, let me know in the comments. Thanks for all the support. We're gonna go deep into this stuff because I think it's valuable. But we'll be back again tomorrow. Probably won't do another motor preferences video tomorrow, but definitely we're going to do a couple more this week as we just kind of get deeper and deeper into it. So appreciate you guys. Have a good rest of the day.